When you say, just for anyone watching, decriminalisation of drugs,
what's that mean?
What does it mean? Yeah.
So legalisation is obviously a wider subject. So that's you would legalise the substance. Say if you're talking about cannabis specific, right? And you legalise cannabis. There's probably a few different ways, but the two kind of most practiced ways at doing that is like you have in Canada and other places where you have dispensaries and stuff like that, right? So you can, go into the shop, or, and I visited Portland and Oregon and stuff, and you can go in and you can buy it and off you go, right?
Right, yeah.
So, but then the Maltese version and the ones the Germans have introduced is, and Spain, Barcelona and stuff have really kind of invested in the idea of like social clubs. So you have to have a license to grow a certain amount, and you have to be part of a social club. So it's not the dispensary model. So it's less commercial. It's not kind of the for-profit model. So that's legalization, which means that the drug is legal.
Yes.
And potentially then it's administered by the state, and the state would recoup, say, taxes from it and stuff. So in Oregon, they decriminalized drugs, all drugs. So that's what I want, decriminalise all drugs. But it's not actually the drug it's not the drug you're decriminalising. You're decriminalising the possession, the person.
Right.
So in Ireland, if you're caught with even the smallest say there's only €20 worth of weed in your pocket, you can end up in prison, right? If you get a drug charge in Ireland, it'll stay on your record forever. So the spent convictions legislation, the drugs possession, no matter how small it is, it's in the same category as murder, rape, other violent crimes, firearms.
Jesus.
Right? So it's not even in with minor offences. It's in the category with the one that you cannot get off your record. Right? So that's how bad it is. So can you imagine the amount of people that can't study certain subjects because they were caught with a small amount of drugs? They can't volunteer with their local GAD club because they'll get Garda vetted. They can't get insurance. Right? They can't get certain jobs. They're having to disclose this all the time and just be no. So for me, decriminalising drugs is going, we understand that people use drugs, and people from all walks of life use drugs. The type of drug that's used can differ. So likes of crack and heroin can obviously have most of its concentration in communities that have been underserved and under-resourced. And a lot of that stems from trauma-related stuff, stems from poverty, intergenerational stuff. So for me, you have to decriminalise all drugs, because you don't help all types of people if you only decriminalise the drugs that the middle classes use, right? It has to be all drugs. And what happens is then the substance is still illegal, but you will not end up in the justice system. You'll not be stigmatised, you'll not be shamed. So not everyone who uses drugs will ever need help. Some people use drugs their whole life recreationally, and it's not going to be an issue, right? So you don't need to worry about them when it comes to like health-led approach. They just use drugs, they're not going to need supports. But there is obviously a lot of people who will need supports, who actually end up struggling with addiction and stuff. So they're the people that need to be able to, if they end up in prison and then they enter into recovery somehow, right? How can you fully ever engage in a full recovery in relation to addiction if you have to then tell everyone all your offences or your drugs offences for the rest of your life? The amount of working class people who have gone on to get degrees, masters, PhDs, and they just say it's no use to me. I'm Garda vetted everywhere I go. I'm judged on every offence that I had while I was struggling with addiction, and especially the drug offence just is not taken off my record. And there's people stopped and searched and harassed, stopped and searched, even though they know that them people are only in possession of small amount of drugs. But often it's used as a tool as well to badger people for more information about other people. So people have said they've been brought in for questioning on very small amounts of drugs, but really it was with the intention of them giving up other people. Yeah. So putting people's lives in danger, vulnerable people's lives in danger. And that's where the stop and search, they don't want to give up, you know what I mean? Yeah. So decriminalisation, to be specific, is you wouldn't buy it in shops. You can't. So that's the problem. There's still an illegal market operating.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So that's the difference. But it means that the most vulnerable people, who are the ones that have possession of it in their pocket, but they're not drug dealers. So under decriminalisation, it's still illegal to sell and supply. So there will still be an effort to
capture
there will still be efforts to when there's criminality, when there's drug dealing, because that's still illegal. But it just means that the person who is on the lower end of that, who's the person in possession of substance, isn't. Yeah.